Hello and a warm welcome in Barcelona. How do you feel atmosphere here?
The atmosphere is really buzzing. As always, EIBTM on the first day, it hits you like a rock. You know, everybody's arrived, everybody's keen to do business, the stands seem to be all very busy. So I think it reflects the general optimism in the industry. It's all about, are the right buyers here, are they here in the right numbers? Are the opportunities there for people not only to meet them on the stand, but to have their own space to build their own relationships with those buyers. And I think EIBTM does that very well. It's not just what's on the show floor, it's all the hundreds of things that are going on around it that make a difference.
A few words about
ICCA. Okay, thank you. Many people in the business know us already, and most people have heard of us, but don't really know what we are. We're a trade association, 51 years old now. We know this because we had our 50th anniversary last year. And we specialize in the international association Congress sector. That is healthcare meetings, scientific meetings, trade associations, professional associations, all manner. We track about 19,000 regularly occurring meetings that rotate between 3 or more countries. That's our core business. And we have 1,000 companies and organizations in membership in about 92 countries. So we're not the biggest association in the industry, but we are the most international. And basically, if you're targeting the association sector, and if you're not an ICCA member, then I would question your sanity, because we can offer the route to market, the tools, the infrastructure, the networks, and the information about what is going on in the association sector. So most people who are serious about international association meetings are ICCA members. Well, highlights, actually the biggest highlight was a year ago in our 50th anniversary when we launched a publication which we called A Modern History of International Association Meetings. And this was designed to look at the long-term trends and why those trends were occurring. And we'd never done this before. We have 50 years of data, but we'd only ever looked at 10 years. And when we did the long-term analysis, we discovered a really strange thing, that the number of association meetings is consistently doubling every 10 years. So it's an exponential growth. And we start asking, well, why is that? And it's not because of tourism appeal or better marketing or there's a bit more business to be done or that meetings are better than non-meetings for achieving business aims. It's because we're living through a revolutionary period in terms of knowledge, scientific knowledge, technical knowledge. It's growing exponentially, really, really faster than we can imagine because we live in the middle of it. And associations hold their meetings to try and make sense of that enormous tsunami, that massive wave of knowledge that's coming in. And so we happen to be an association that specializes in a very strongly growing sector. And there's no sign that it's slowing down, which is really good news for our members. And I think it's really good news for society as well, because these meetings are finding solutions to society's environmental problems. They're finding new technological solutions to make life easier. They're providing healthcare solutions. And they're disseminating knowledge into all regions of the world. So we're seeing big growth in regional meetings. It's no longer enough to wait for 20 years for the World Congress to come to your destination. Now people are inventing meetings. Meetings are being created regionally, they're rotating into smaller areas, niche events are being created. So it's a very exciting, very dynamic time in our industry. And I wouldn't say we've had a highlight in the last year, we're building on this.
Where do you see niche destinations?
Niche destination, well, it's an interesting question because I need to step back a stage and say that there are essentially 2 different types of strategy that destinations are following. Maybe 60% of the market is still treating the conference business, the meetings business, as part of tourism. So they use tourism tools, they use advertising, PR, site inspections, and they're essentially pushing a tourism message. They're saying, we have culture, we have restaurants, and we have infrastructure. Now, 40% of the market, by now at least, is taking a different strategic approach. They're saying meetings are part of tourism because people consume tourism product, hotel rooms, restaurants, etc. But strategically, it's part of economic development and the knowledge economy. intellectual capital strategies, if I could call it that. And those destinations are taking a much more sophisticated look at how to attract meetings. So they're not just running around saying, well, we need meetings of 200 people to spend money in the hotels to provide jobs. They're now saying, well, what are the areas of specialization in our universities and the type of inward investment we want to attract to our country? And what are the meetings in those areas that we can hold so that we can bring in the venture capitalists, the top thinkers, the people who can influence whether that business will start investing in our country. And the destinations which are taking that approach are able to put far more resources into attracting that business, because the spend of the delegate is just the tip of the iceberg. You know, the way I describe it is we're very good at measuring the $20 cost of two people having breakfast at a meeting. What we're not measuring is the $2 million research project that those guys are talking about. And that's where the real value of this type of business occurs.
So which countries are future niche destinations?
The leaders traditionally in this field have been places like Copenhagen, Amsterdam, Singapore, Korea. Korea was very big in this. And we're seeing a lot of the secondary university cities in Europe where they have a very strong local academic or specialization. They are now really getting involved in this type of approach to market themselves. So I wouldn't want to name any particular names, but if you look at all of the secondary cities which have good, strong scientific and technical universities, they are starting to develop a much more sophisticated approach to attracting meetings. Actually, the big highlight is our first big data project in ICCA. We've been thinking for a couple of years of, by big data, what I mean is the massive amount of data that is publicly available and the new tools that are able to access it rather than our own data. You know, we have our own database, but that's not big data. That's 19,000 events, it's 200,000 records, and we still need 15 full-time researchers to maintain it, okay? What we realized is that we have to be much more than that. We have to be a gateway for our members to all the knowledge that is relevant for our area of specialization. And a lot of associations are now addressing this. They're realizing that the knowledge is growing too fast. It's impossible to capture it and hold it. So you now have to find new ways of making it available. So we work with a technical partner, and we've created a thing called, we call it Big Data Search. And it's designed to help our members identify a local doctor or academic or thought leader in their city or their destination who can act as an ambassador to invite events to take place in that destination. And this is how a lot of the business works. So you press one button. Say you're looking for an expert in your university in biotechnology. You select, you want to look in Slovenia. You look at the universities there. You press biotechnology. It will search Google Scholar and Microsoft Academic, two gigantic databases with tens of millions of records. And it will identify who are the top experts in your university, what have they published, how often are they being cited by other people working in the field, which is their reputation, who are they connected to, and how active are they at the moment. And then it goes further and looks at, are these people visible in the website in our own private database of the associations and the congresses? So if they're a president or they're a keynote speaker, then they will appear in that search. So it's a very simple, powerful tool that goes from our database privately to the outside world and then back in again.
You have been with ICCA for years?
12 years.
12 years? Long period?
Yeah.
Where do you see your future now?
Well, not many people know this, but I actually applied to be the ICCA CEO when my predecessor got the job 7 years before I did. So I waited 7 years before I got it. I've been involved with ICCA for 25 years, 13 years as working for member companies, and less than that as a CEO. I've been 12 years. So I'm like the football fan who got to manage their own home team. You know, I loved ICCA as a member. I really loved the culture of sharing knowledge and sharing data and how open that made the community. And I love the fact it was really international, really open to other people's voices. And so I felt that my job was to keep the culture alive. You know, there's a certain culture to any organization that is its foundation. but to build on that by making my own team the most knowledgeable in the meetings business of any association. And the job is so totally different today to what it was 5 years ago and 10 years ago, and it will be totally different again in 5 years' time. So for me, it's not the same job, but it's an organization I really love working with.